Welcome to the So That's Why podcast, where we unpack the science behind everyday questions. I'm Jen.
I'm Chris.
And I'm Matt.
Right, 2:36. It doesn't sound like a special time, does it? But according to a survey of 2,000 UK adults, that's the exact moment most people hit the wall.
2:36.
Yep, 2:36. Your eyelids get heavy, emails slow down, and suddenly the biscuit tin starts calling your name in a way that it definitely wasn't doing at 11 a.m. So why do we get afternoon energy crashes, and why are they so consistently on time?
I'm still amazed by the 2:36. I mean, that's very specific, isn't it? Not kind of mid-afternoon after lunch. It's just 2:36. Someone clearly looked at the data and went, yep, that's the moment society seems to, collectively just give up for the rest of the day.
It is, and it's quite specific, isn't it? And actually, it's not just one data set. So there was a separate US survey that found the average low point there is 2:06 p.m. So still pretty close, right? So different people, different country, but the same kind of window.
Mm.
But the Brits are 30 minutes in front, maybe.
Just the way it should be. Efficiency.
We love our American viewers.
Yeah, and yes, absolutely. I mean, I love this, and I love there's this sort of semi-global agreement, isn't it? Sort of around 2 o'clock, 2:30, every office just sort of quietly shifts, doesn't it? And tea gets made, someone goes for a quick walk. I shouldn't say this, but I have a little thing in the back of my van. I can go for a quick nap. But meetings, they sort of mysteriously get pushed to tomorrow. I do feel it, actually.
Yeah, totally. But here's the interesting bit. Most people assume that it's just a lunch thing, but it isn't. It happens whether you eat or not.
That's it. And that is the surprise. So lunch does contribute, but it's not the main driver. So what we're actually seeing here is 4 biological systems all peaking at the same time and reinforcing each other.
And that's the thing, really. Each one on its own is manageable, but it's the stacking of them that does the real damage.
So the crash isn't one thing breaking, it's 4 things showing up at exactly the same time when you don't want it to.
Exactly.
Everyone's going, what's he talking about?
It is. People need to Google Accrington Stanley, and they will find out what's going on. Anyway, so before we get into what causes it, it's worth us understanding the impact. A Slack survey of over 10,000 desk workers found only 1 in 4 people felt productive between 3 and 6 p.m. And in a UK survey, 12% said they'd actually fallen asleep in a meeting, and 10% made noticeable work errors during that window.
12% asleep in meetings. I've definitely been one of them. It kind of feels low, I guess. I thought the number would have been higher. You know, the lower, higher thing. I would have definitely gone higher than 12%.
Yeah, me too.
Maybe the rest of us are just in denial. I don't know.
Absolutely. Sorry.
Yeah, there's probably a few people fibbing there, isn't there?
Yeah.
But it shows up in performance data too. So there was a report by the American Academy of Sleep Medicine, and they concluded that cognitive performance drops by about 15 to 25% in the afternoon. So that includes reaction time, attention, decision making, all of it. So basically that tells me if you're going to have major surgery, get them to do it in the morning, not the afternoon.
Yeah, definitely. And there was a study of around 800 office workers over 2 years, and that backs this up. They saw real dips in accuracy, so there was more typing errors and reduced computer activity in the afternoon. So it's not just self-reported, there's real evidence.
Which probably explains a few of my afternoon emails. I've actually had to start, I don't know if you've done this, start rereading everything I send out around 4 o'clock, just in the order of self-preservation more than anything.
Yeah, me too. Or just put it off till tomorrow. Just start again.
Yeah, definitely.
But that 15 to 25% drop, it matters, doesn't it? Because if you think, if you're driving or you're managing people, making decisions under pressure, or doing that surgery I mentioned, it's not just I'm feeling a bit tired. This is like a measurable change.
Okay, so what's actually going on at 2:36 p.m. then?
So these 4 biological processes I mentioned, these forces, they all show up around the same time, and they don't just cancel each other out, they stack up.
And we've touched on parts of this before, haven't we? Like the post-lunch fatigue, caffeine, sleep pressure. But today, we're looking at how all of these overlap.
Yep, and the first force is your circadian rhythm. And here's one for the fact fans actually out there. So most people don't realise this, but your body doesn't just dip once a day, it actually dips twice.
Twice? I know of one that I never really get up again from, but twice.
I know. So there's a dip in the early hours of the morning when you're asleep, which is obviously pretty handy to have a
That's
dip.
why I don't know about it then, yeah.
But the other dip is in the middle of the afternoon that we're talking about, which is obviously a little bit less handy.
And during that afternoon dip, your core body temperature, it drops slightly, only just 0.5 degree to a degree, which is closely linked with reduced alertness and a slower reaction time.
So my I just need 5 minutes feeling then at 2 o'clock is basically my internal thermostat agreeing with me.
Pretty much, yep. And there's also evidence that the brain's motivation circuits, are less active at that time. So it's not just tiredness, it's reduced drive as well.
And that was from a study at Swinburne University. So they mapped out the brain's reward centre across the day, and they found it was genuinely quieter in the afternoon, which explains why everything suddenly feels more effortful.
Yeah, and so it's not that I've gotten worse at my job, thank the Lord, at 2 p.m. My brain's motivation department has just sort of gone slightly on a long tea break, maybe.
It's good that you're not getting worse at your job.
You should tell Michelle.
Okay, so the second force in sleep is sleep pressure. So while you're awake, there's a chemical called adenosine, and that builds up in your brain. And it's your natural signal to slow down. So the longer you've been up, the stronger it gets.
Yeah, that's it. And by mid-afternoon, so roughly 6 to 10 hours after you've woken up, it's high enough, this change is high enough to noticeably affect alertness. And adenosine, by the way, it's the same molecule that caffeine blocks. So we went through this in the coffee episode in a bit more detail, but it explains why also a strong coffee alone in the afternoon doesn't always do the trick.
So that's when that rise in sleep pressure meets the circadian dip. They don't just add together, they amplify each other.
So it's not one thing just knocking you down. It's a couple of systems basically teaming up together at the same time. Tag teaming, maybe.
Exactly. Exactly?
Exactly.
I can't do it.
People really need to Google
I'm so
Accrington
sorry.
Stanley again.
I'm so sorry. Was it Ian Rush? Was he
Yeah.
into it as well?
Yeah. He said
It's milk.
If I don't drink my milk
Yeah.
one day, I can play for Accrington Stanley.
Accrington
Stanley?
So-
Who
I'm
are
so
they?
sorry, I'm so sorry.
Exactly. Everyone's
I've
just
got
really
no idea what we're
confused.
talking about now. We were talking about
Third
cortisol.
force, the
Yeah.
third force.
Yes. So the third force is, what was the second force? The third force is cortisol. So you'll know cortisol as being the stress hormone. And when you hear stress hormone, you assume it's bad. But cortisol is one of your main alertness hormones too.
Yeah, so cortisol surges within like 30 to 45 minutes of you waking. And its official name is called the cortisol awakening response. And that then steadily declines across the day. So by mid-afternoon, it can be 50 to 70% lower than morning levels in healthy adults.
So we're basically running on a falling level of alertness hormone before lunch is even finished.
Yep, that's right. And of course, you've got another factor here, which is stress. And stress complicates it further because when it comes to chronic stress, it flattens that cortisol response curve. So when you're stressed, you don't always get that strong cortisol morning boost, and it doesn't recover properly during the afternoon either.
Which means people who are already stressed, they often feel the afternoon crash more, not less. And then you also get that wired but tired pattern where you're flat in the afternoon and oddly and annoyingly awake at night.
I just like that wired but tired phrase. And of course, this makes complete sense, doesn't it? Of the 11 p.m. second wind that turns up just as you're trying to get to sleep.
Yeah.
And it really does affect my wife if she's watching. It's incredible.
I know, it's so annoying. You're kind of wide awake at 11 o'clock, but you can do that email at 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
And then we got the fourth force, which is food. So we covered this in a lot of detail in another episode, but the key point when it comes to food is simple, that lunch doesn't cause the crash, but it can amplify it.
And did you know, helpful, but a high refined carb lunch without protein, that tends to make the dip sharper. So it's no surprise at all that a balanced meal smooths it out, although it doesn't actually remove it.
So food then isn't the villain, is what we're saying. It just decides whether the slope is gentle or steep, which is an analogy I like. Okay, so if all four are happening to everyone, why does it feel so much worse for some people than for others?
Yeah, so it's because there are amplifiers on top of those four forces that I mentioned. So there'll be no surprise with this, and I'm sorry to be Mr. Repetitive.
Sure
I feel like that's a new name.
Yeah. Captain Repetitive.
We need to keep a track of the actual name.
Captain Mythbuster, Mr. Repetitive.
I've been called far worse. But yeah, to be a bit repetitive on this, the biggest is sleep deprivation. It affects it so much.
Yeah, and in surveys, around 45% of people say poor sleep is the main reason their afternoon crash is harder, because it lowers your baseline alertness. So the dip hits from a worse starting point.
So you're not just dipping, you're dipping from a lower point already.
That's it. And then there's a second amplifier, which is dehydration. And even mild dehydration, so 1 or 2% of body water loss, that can affect attention and fatigue.
And that's been backed up by the research as well. So there was a meta-analysis of 33 studies, and that shows that at that level, you can see clear drops in attention, memory, and coordination. But what's interesting is the brain actually has to work harder to keep performance up, which is part of why it feels mentally draining.
So by lunchtime, if you've barely had any water, guilty as charged, you're already setting yourself up for that 2 p.m. drop, aren't you?
You are, and I'm sorry to come after tea and coffee drinkers, but it's another amplifier here to think about, and it's often overlooked, but it's actually caffeine timing. So caffeine has a half-life of around 5 to 7 hours. So that means that in that time, in that 5 to 7 hours, the body has eliminated half of it, but half still remains in your system.
So a 3 p.m. coffee can still be active deep into the night, and studies show that it doesn't just last, it shifts sleep. So even a few hours before bed can actually delay your body's melatonin release and cut your total sleep time by over an hour.
Absolutely right. And of course, broken sleep then feeds straight back into tomorrow's crash, which you'll probably fix with more caffeine. And of course, off we go again and again and again.
And the loop continues. So the afternoon coffee isn't just helping the day, is it? It might be quietly shaping your tomorrow's slump as well.
Yeah, and it's worth saying, this isn't about willpower. You can't outfocus, unfortunately, a natural drop in cortisol. Yeah. Rise in sleep pressure and a circadian dip all at once, unless you are superhuman, of course.
Absolutely. It's such an important point because it's so easy to look in the wrong places, isn't it? When you're trying to understand afternoon dips or sleep issues. And of course, you've also got variation between people. Because the dips don't all happen at the same time. You've got early risers, natural early risers, they will dip earlier, and night owls will dip later, which obviously makes sense. But if you think about shift workers, parents, people under chronic stress, all experience these dips and dip timing differently.
Yeah, and it's not just that, right? So you get older adults who metabolize caffeine more slowly, don't they? And so the same afternoon coffee hangs around longer in their system. So age then starts to play into this as well.
Yeah, so true. So same drink, different effect, depending on whose liver's processing it at the end of the day.
Yeah, so it's not that everyone has the same 2:36 p.m. crash, very precise time. It's just that everyone has a crash. Maybe, depending on a whole bunch of circumstances, you're going to have some slightly different timings, maybe.
Okay, so what actually helps?
Yeah, because this is a part I really want to know. And of course, you all want to know it as well. What can we actually do about it, guys?
Yeah, so we can look at this in terms of things to do, but importantly, things to not do.
Okay, so drinking water early in the day makes a big difference. We know that because, like we said, most people underdrink before lunch, so they're already behind.
Yeah, and eating a balanced diet, so a balanced lunch that includes protein, fibre, fats, that helps to smooth that blood sugar and it reduces the kind of spike and drop effect.
Yeah, and sleep is the big one. We keep bringing this up, annoyingly so, because Chris is always right. But it is the least non-negotiable, right?
Sleep, so much power. But movement also helps, doesn't it? That's one of the most reliable fixes in the moment. Even a few minutes of walking, not burpees as you always suggest in the office, a few minutes of walking does help improve alertness. And like, you don't need to do a full workout or burpees, just enough to get your blood moving.
Yeah, and it might seem like an obvious one, but natural light helps too. So sitting near a window or stepping out for a few minutes in the early afternoon, it can really reduce the severity of that incoming dip.
And if you can nap, or you're lucky enough to have space in your day to nap, even just 10, 20 minutes is ideal before 3 p.m. But keeping it under 30 minutes is wise. Otherwise, you tip into like sleep inertia and come out groggier than when you actually went in.
Yeah, we've talked about that before, haven't we? At 26 minutes for me, that's my perfect nap time. Just putting that out there. It's what NASA discovered. And I do want to acknowledge, though, that most workplaces, despite the 26-minute NASA research, is not set up for this sort of professional nap time. So the realistic version may well be a walk and some water.
And if you need food, here I am, Captain Sensible. Go for protein, fibre and fats like yogurt, nuts, hummus, fruit.
Yeah, and I'm going to be kind of Captain Miserable here because as hard as it is to do, you've got to avoid those big sugary hits because
it's hard.
You get that spike and drop thing again. So by relying on those biscuits that you keep going to, it means you're effectively buying yourself a slightly later version of the same crash.
So the biscuit tin is emotionally supportive. And to be fair, we've got posh biscuits, haven't we, on here? But psychologically, maybe it's not helping us.
No, afraid not. But another thing on that do not do list is the trap of having that big afternoon caffeine hit. So guzzling a big cup of coffee, it might fix today's kind of mid-afternoon slump, but it's at the cost of tonight's sleep, which of course will then directly affect tomorrow's slump, and so on and so on.
And trying to brute force your way through on pure willpower doesn't really work when you're running at a 15 to 25% cognitive deficit.
Which might actually be my new favourite excuse. Sorry, I'm operating at my 20% deficiency today. Please send that to me after 4 p.m. Love and hugs, Matt.
But you know what stands out is how everything we talk about in other episodes converges here. So sleep, hydration, caffeine, stress, nutrition.
That's it. And it makes the kind of afternoon slump, the dip thing, quite a useful signal. So if it's severe, it's something upstream is probably off and it's worth attention.
So it's almost like your daily status report from your body. So a mild lull means the foundations are holding, but a full derailment means something's asking for attention.
Which I don't love hearing, if I'm honest, because mine feels pretty consistent at this point.
But it's not a flaw, it's a feature. Your body has a natural low point in the day.
Yeah, and of course the problem we have now is we've built schedules in life that expect peak performance exactly when the biology kind of says otherwise. So if you do have the flexibility, the best thing to do is kind of protect your mornings for that focus type work and move admin and maybe more menial tasks into the afternoon.
Yeah. So it's less what's wrong with me and more why am I trying to do spreadsheets at my biological low point?
So why do we get afternoon energy crashes?
It's because 4 systems converge, circadian rhythm dips, sleep pressure rises, cortisol falls, and certain foods amplify the whole thing. So together they create this predictable 15 to 25% drop in cognitive performance right in the middle of the working day when you really want that performance. And
it's not a failure, it's a normal rhythm. And the goal isn't to eliminate it, it's to understand it and work with it.
So 2:36 p.m. isn't a personal weakness. It's when your cortisol, your temperature, your sleep pressure, and possibly last night's coffee all walk into the same room at exactly the same time. You just happen to be the one sitting in the chair.
So that's why. That's it for this week. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. We're unpacking the science behind everyday questions each week. And tell us in the comments what questions you'd like us to explore. Thanks for geeking out with us. But for now, that's it from me.
That's it from me.
And that's it from me.
Bye for now.